I just have to say it out loud, because I know some people might be thinking it. He's not baptized yet? How is he not baptized yet? Don't we have rules here? Honestly, the embarrassment of that thought, of people having those thoughts, and having a busy schedule quietly delayed me from doing this over and over again. And those are not good reasons. I'm sorry to all of you, because I want nothing more than to publicly devote my life to Christ and to be made officially one in this body, His body, and be faithful. I'm also very thankful for Pastor Matt this morning for sharing his own story of procrastination and offering grace to those of us who have fallen into this limbo between belief and full obedience. Not being baptized has been like this little secret I've kept to myself, and when someone would find out, I would joke around with them and say, well, I'm just waiting until I'm 30 because I take what would Jesus do very literally. But now I'm 30. And I didn't want to go another day leaving my obedience to God unfulfilled. And I want to make my faith real in my actions. And the only thing I can liken baptism to is when I made an oath last year to love my wife the rest of my days and to die to any other desires. That's a promise I made in front of other people to symbolize it by putting on rings. And so it makes sense to me that our universal human desire to make a commitment like that public and in a ceremony is also God's desire for us as well. When I was about 5, which I discussed with my mom earlier today, I was about 5. I remember attending Sunday school at Blythefield. It was Easter time, and the teachers were giving Jesus' whole life story, telling us a little bit of the story every week. I don't know if it was the first time I had heard all of Jesus' life in order, but it definitely was the first time I understood it. And man, I loved that Jesus guy. How could a 5-year-old boy not? He was healing people, he was kind to children, he was showing up the bad guys, he was telling storms to simmer down now. And then they got to the part where Jesus was arrested and the bad guys beat him up and they had a plan to get away with killing him. And I remember waiting for that part where he gets away or someone saves him just in time, because that's how all the Disney movies worked. And I even remember sitting back while I watched the other kids so engrossed in the story and knowing I know how stories work. Just get to the happy part where he tricks them and gets away. And this was back before Easter drama. Otherwise, I would have known better because we would have practiced it 20 times by then. And I just have the word horror. Horror is all I remember, just plain horror when the teachers told us how he was tortured to death. Horror because I believed that the story they were telling me was true, and he didn't get away, and he didn't try to trick them, and no one came and saved him. Jesus died. And unfortunately, the curriculum for Sunday school at the time was to have us wait until the next week to tell us what happened. I remember staring at the space above the door in my parents' living room that night in shock, like I had been to Vietnam and didn't want to talk about it. And finally, one of my parents asked me what was going on, and I started crying and telling them, he's dead, they killed Jesus. Did you know that they killed Jesus? I wasn't sure if they knew, because how could they be going on with their lives if they knew about this? And my dad and my mom had a conversation right there, the kind that parents have in front of their kids, as if we can't hear them. And I think my dad said something like, "It's time." And we went into my room. I got up on the bed and I was still crying, and my mom and dad sat on the floor. My dad got out this comic book Bible that we still have, and he just started asking me if I believed the things in the book. Did I believe in God, that He created the world? That story about the snake and the fruit, was that true? And all the bad in the world came from that moment. Did I believe that? Did I believe that that's why the Israelites had to sacrifice animals and on until we got to Jesus? And I just kept nodding and saying yes. Then they told me that He had to die, that He meant to die, that He was the hero, and no one took His life, but He gave it up for me. And then that He rose from the dead. When He asked me if I believed He rose from the dead as a child, there was no hesitation. Of course He rose from the dead. How could He not? Isn't good supposed to triumph over evil? Wasn't He God's Son? God can do anything, can't He? I wrote this on this piece of paper, I wish I could bottle that moment and feel it like that every time I do worship, and then I actually felt it tonight and I was like, too much. That's why childlike faith is so important. And they told me if I confessed my sin and believed in Jesus, I could be with Him and my family in heaven one day, and we would have the same story Jesus had. So I did, and I meant it. And from that moment on, I was saved. I know I was saved. Without a doubt, God walked with me from that day on, all through grade school, junior high, high school. Even though I struggled with sin those years, it never overtook me because the Spirit of God convicted me of it over and over again. And He loved me like a son, and I was alive in Him. I told my parents I wanted to wait till I was 18 to be baptized because I wanted to be an adult and have it be my own decision. Have it be my ushering into manhood, like it was some sort of Christian bar mitzvah. And I don't think this was necessarily wise. I think what Drew did is wise. I don't know if it really came from the Lord, it was just my plan. And then shortly after my 18th birthday, I stopped going to church. I had a bad experience, and I was an angst-filled teen, coming of age, and I felt wronged by people in our church, people who were my friends, and I did what I thought was strength. I walked away, calling everyone hypocrites of me. A couple weeks ago, Luke talked about C.S. Lewis's autobiography that he entitled Surprised by Joy. And I can honestly say, I had a lot of things after leaving the body of Christ. I had ambition, I had pleasure, I had anger, I had pride, I had all the fuels to run on that I thought I needed, and all the fuels that run dry, but I did not have joy. And my parents probably find the whole thing very hard to believe because I think I hid it pretty well. The best way to get away with doing what you want is to hide it and to hide it well. But then joy came to me piece by piece, a little taste by a little taste. A Christmas card left on my door by Caleb Skyton, a godly friend and roommate at college, even song worship that I was forced to attend at Cornerstone almost did me in a couple times, the support of my parents, and the prayers of Nora Bradshaw. Finally, I felt the hibernating spirit in me start bursting up out of the depth of my heart, like a spring that starts eroding the dirt around it. Theologically, I think I had grieved the Spirit for some time, and it had just had enough. And the overflowing of love from God that I felt, and the awesome power of who He was and who He is, took me to my knees for real, not like the other times. Not like when I asked Him for things or demanded Him things those couple of years, but at this point I wanted to give to Him everything. It is absolutely true that God's kindness is what leads us to repentance. And it is not popular to say today, but after that I knew I deserved hell, and I will never know it. Like Drew said, Not because of anything that I have done, but because He chose me. I am His sheep, and I can't help but know His voice. I just want to follow Him. My rehab back in the church was slow and gradual. And by all divine ironies, I not only ended up back at Blythefield, but volunteering and working here. And all I can say is I'm glad to be home. I hope it comes through. I hope people see it. I'm so thankful. And that teenage boy who once hated you all was lovingly led by God to a place where he sees his own sin, knows that he will be judged by the same measure he judges, knows that even if the sheep act out of place, the shepherd is still good. And being baptized is a big deal for me because I want to be in the family, in this church. When I get called up, I want to be with you guys on Judgment Day. That might not be the most romantic thing, but you're my family, and I love you. I've been cut to the heart with my own sin. I could be dead in my sin, but I am made alive by God forever, together with you. He has canceled my record of debt that stood against me with its legal demands, and He set it aside and nailed it to the cross. There is one Lord, one faith, one baptism into Christ's death. Death to flesh and sin, buried in order that just as Christ, we may be raised from the dead by the glory of the Father and walk in newness of life. For in one Spirit we are all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and all are made to drink one Spirit, and appeal to God for a good conscience through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Thank you, and God bless you, Blythefield.